Thanks again, Michael, for hopping on to another episode of Untapped Stories. I know we were chatting a bit before show, and obviously you got a really decorated career, both playing and coaching. But maybe to take it back for the audience, we love to start this way. So for parents and young athletes listening, what was life like for you when you were in their shoes? Maybe a young athlete coming up. Were you a multi-sport player? Were you always a basketball lover? And kind of how did those early days of playing shape the person, coach, and parent you wound up becoming?
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me on. I was brought into a basketball family. My dad played college basketball at Fairfield University, a small school in Connecticut. I have an older brother 2 years ahead of me, and at 5 or 6 years old, I joined my first YMCA team, coached by dad, with a bunch of school friends on it. I didn't score a point the entire season, but my love for basketball was developed that year. And so, yeah, 5 or 6, I picked up a ball, played all the way until 31, 32, all the way around the world. And there's a lot of stories in the middle there that we can get into.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. What about like basketball for you when we were maybe past the 5, 6 year old age? How seriously did you take it when you were elementary, middle school, high school? Did you hit a certain point when you were like, okay, I have, because a lot of parents and athletes listening to this, they might have an athlete with talent, but not know when the right time to go, like quote unquote, all in would be. When was that kind of light bulb moment for you that like, oh, wow, I can really take this seriously and take it to the next level?
Yeah, I really got into it at that 9, 10, 11-year-old range. And, I just love the game. And this is something, I'm a parent myself of 3 teenagers, and we went through all the sports stages. But it's something that I preach to parents all the time, is that your kids will naturally gravitate to the sport that they love the most. Like if you're setting the table well and you introduce 3, 4 sports, and you start to hear that basketball bouncing in the backyard all the time, or you see them practicing and driving you crazy, bouncing the ball in the house, you'll know that's what they want to do. Like it has to be in the child, and you have to have that love and passion, as you know, to be able to take it to the high school, to the college, to the professional level, or else it's not going to work. It can't be the parent's dream, and that's a lot that I see that a lot, and I stress that a lot. Like if your child's not loving the sport or their hobby, whatever their interest may be, like it's better to stay away than to force feed it.
100%. And we've heard a lot recently from parents, well, especially parents, but also some coaches who see this. I think the pendulum is kind of swinging back towards multiple sports. I'm not sure what it was like when you were growing up. I know when I was younger playing, I mean, there was started to become an emphasis that focusing on one sport was really good for athletes. And we know the benefits that are out there maybe when you get older, but what would your pitch be to parents? Because obviously you played at a very high level. I know your daughters, and maybe we'll talk about them, they're high level surfers, but what would your pitch be to parents on why multiple sports at a young age could be a good thing for kids?
I think it's great early on. I mean, if you're really into a sport at 12, 13, 14, and you want to focus and you want to put in those 10,000 hours to perfect your craft, then I'm on board for that. But at 6, 7, 8, if you're saying he's on triple tier elite platinum travel club, like that to me is just a scam, at that age. Like let your kid play soccer, try some tennis lessons, basketball, whatever else they want to have fun with their kid. You have to remember it's childhood, right? So let your child have fun, let them explore all the different options. And like I said earlier, when they find something they're passionate about, then support that, back it, and they'll gravitate towards it themselves.
That's really cool. We wrote an article recently saying the same thing. We kind of went through pros and cons, but we essentially ended it by saying people sometimes forget you also have to listen to the kid or the athlete. Like if the parent wants to do this more than the kid, no matter what happens, it's not going to wind up good in the end. And I've seen that from a lot of athletes and parents, and it's sad.
Gene, myself, that's a slippery slope. I've seen it ruin father-son, mother-daughter, however way you want to, crisscross it. Like it's a slippery slope to try to force your dreams onto your child. You have to remember, like you're their parent, you can be their friend, but you're not their GM, you're not their agent. So let's stay away from that and do the right thing and just, support the kids as we should.
I always remember, and I tell this story with my dad being a young athlete. I remember one time I was in the field, I looked at him because I did something wrong, and he immediately after the game said, "Why are you looking at me? What am I going to do for you? You're the one playing. Go have fun." Ever since then, it clicked. Like, I get to do this because I love it, but I've seen friends, teammates over the years, even in college, they still sometimes at the sidelines look up at their parents, and I'm like, you guys are 21 years old. Like, why are you listening to your parents and, like, living their dream? Go play and do it yourself. But
Yeah,
I'm sure we can talk
that.
about the parenting stuff for a while. But what about going back to your career, Michael? So I know you had a decorated college career, NBA career, overseas career. What was maybe one of the tougher lessons or tougher moments that you had during your entire career when you maybe thought of hanging it up or quitting or backing out, but you kind of doubled down? And how did you find the resilience to do that?
Well, there's plenty of them. I mean, you can start when I went to the 1996 high school All-American Nike camp in Indianapolis and called home after a day begging my dad to let me come home.
Oh,
because
geez.
I'm like, I didn't get the ball. Then there's like Tim Thomas, Kobe Bryant, Jermaine O'Neal, all these guys. Like when you show up to the top 100 camp and you think you're a hotshot in Worcester, Massachusetts, but then you get humbled very quickly. To me, that was like where I really had my eye-opening moment. Like, wow, the level of talent around the U.S. and around the world is different than my bubble of New England.
Yep.
And he said, he probably gave me the tough love that my dad always did. Love him to death. But he said something along the lines of, go back to the room, think about what you didn't do well, and fix it tomorrow. You're not going anywhere. And, it was just a little kick in the butt I needed. And by the end of the week, I was on one of the all camp teams. So it was a great lesson in, you can't always get what you want right away. And especially in this day and age, everybody wants the instant results and the instant gratification. And that's not going to happen. Like basketball is a process. You really have to enjoy the work,
Yep.
the process of getting better. There's going to be a million times you fall. You have to get up just one more time. And, there's going to be hurdles everywhere you go. When I went to University of Kentucky, I was Rick Pitino's last recruit. And again, I was coming off of averaging almost 40 points and 20 rebounds as a high school senior in a good state and a good division. And I go there, and the individual workout group that I joined was 4 future NBA players. And they were waiting there salivating, ready to get their hands on a young kid who was trying to take their playing time. So again, I went from being the man to riding the bench on a national championship team at Kentucky. But I kept grinding out the work and learning. You can't just like sit on the bench and sulk. You really have
Yep.
to learn from every opportunity, whether it's good or bad, and then make the most of it and make that experience make you stronger and a better athlete, a better human in life. I mean, sports and life are identical, right? Like if something's challenging, you're just going to give up, or you're going to think about what happened, ask yourself why, and make it so much better moving forward. So the parallels are incredible, and everything you learn in team sports specifically can really, really help you in life down the road.
We've seen that 100% work out. And maybe for young athletes who are talented, they know they want to play at the high level and get to college. And we've heard some differing opinions, so I'm curious to get yours. When you were going through the recruiting process, and I know it's a while back, but if you can kind of put yourself in your shoes again as in
Wasn't
17.
that long ago, man.
Same with me. When you're a 17, 18-year-old kid and you're thinking about where you want to go play in college, obviously you chose like the pinnacle of basketball playing in Kentucky, but we've heard for some other athletes that they maybe chose a school where they knew they were going to start day one because they didn't want to be that person on the bench. I mean, what in you and what made you decide that, hey, I want to go to like essentially the number one school and try to compete with 4 other All-Americans and get that playing time?
Wasn't even a question. I wanted to play against the best. I wanted to play for the best. I wanted that challenge. And the best athletes want that. If you want to go sit somewhere else and, be promised the starting role, or if you think you're not good enough, so you're going to go just a step lower, like you're already admitting defeat. And that's not who I was. Like actually I had some people in my inner circle tell me like, look, you should maybe go to Villanova or Boston College where you can be the man. And I was not interested in that at all. Like I wanted to go play for Rick Pitino, up and down tempo, be a pro 4 years later. Nobody was thinking about leaving school early back then. You knew like you were going to just put in the work and get better. And I wanted to play against the best. And to me, that was a no-brainer. They were coming off a national championship. They were pumping out pros left and right. And when I went on my visit to Rupp Arena and saw 24,000 people there and had that experience, not many kids are saying no after that visit.
But like I said, you got to have that competitive spirit and the will and the love of the game to keep going once you get there. I think a recruiting trip, a lot of athletes think that it's kind of all sunshine and rainbows once they show up on campus, but you're just one of 12 people. So.
Yeah, and the confidence too, Gene. Like if you don't believe in yourself, nobody's going to believe in you. So you can forget it. Like you have to have such unwavering confidence, even through your down games and your down quarters and halves, that you're coming back. Like if you lose that, and again, I'm not perfect. Like mine went up and down in the NBA and Europe when I was starting to get to the end of my career, but you have to have that belief in you or else you are never going to reach your goals.
Maybe going a second into that too, Michael, what's a tip you could give for young athletes to stay confident when they have a really bad game, or they're not playing as expected, or they go to a big tournament and it just doesn't go the way they want? Like how can you bounce back quickly and just look forward to the next game and not sulk?
You've got to have a very short-term memory in this game. And I had a coach my rookie year in Toronto, Lenny Wilkins, was probably the best coach I ever had for the lessons that he taught us, not so much the X and O's. And he said, like, he compared sports and life. He said, you have to live basketball and your life right here. You can't get too high when things are going well and be braggy. You can't get too low if you have a bad day or a bad game. You got to stay even keel. We're going to play again tomorrow or the next day, and we need you. So never get too high, never get too low. Keep your confidence and just keep going.
I like that. I think that parallels everything in life, not just sports, but business too, parenting. I know we talked about that, but if you focus on the wins or if you sulk in the losses, you're never going to get far. But if you stay even keel, you can always get to, I think, a much farther spot if you do that. What about, Michael, that transition from college to pro? Because we've had some other high-level athletes on who've talked about, like, again, they grew to be the man or, the woman in college, and then they get to the pro level, and it's a whole another learning experience, and you're dealing with other people. You're all getting paid to play. For any young athlete out there who maybe thinks the pro level is where they want to be, what's it really like when you get there in terms of having to have the right mentality to succeed?
It's really difficult. I mean, I can tell you a story here real quick, and I'll try to be brief, but, from that high school 40 points a game going to college, becoming the 12th man on the bench. 2 years later, starting for the University of Kentucky. 2 years later, I transferred, and I was an All-American at Villanova, and I was the 17th pick in the first round draft. But then I go to Toronto, drafts me number 17, and I can't even get in the game because we have so many future Hall of Famers in front of me. So I've sat on the bench as the 12th man, I've sat on the bench as the 7th, 8th man, I've been the star on the team. So when I'm coaching now, I have a empathy and I have a feeling for which position every kid is in that I'm working with and that I'm mentoring. And the 12th guy on the bench is just as important as the first, and you have to coach each person individually. So I've actually taken my experiences and morphed that into my mentorship and coaching philosophy. But it's difficult. I mean, when you are the guy and then you're put on the bench, or in the NBA, you're asked to wear a suit and tie when you're healthy because you're one of the 3 guys that they don't need that night. It's a humbling experience, and you just have to keep going in the gym, working on your body, working on your craft, getting your rest. Nutrition is just as important that I stress to these kids. Weightlifting, recovery, yoga, and then you got to train the mind too.
Yep.
Mental wellness and mental health and wellness is just as key as the physical anymore. But it can be a grind, and if you're not playing, you've got to have somebody in your corner that you can vent to. There's so many things that I can get into, but the difficulty of making and staying in the NBA is elite.
Yeah. What about, having some of those conversations, I'm sure hard conversations with coaches, assistants, some of your people on staff, like when you get to that level, because I think we've heard a lot of parents and athletes say, like, if I'm not playing on my travel team, high school team, I can go approach the coach. For people that maybe don't know, that haven't played high-level college or pro, is it the same way? Like, can you always kind of speak up for yourself and voice, like, hey, what should I be doing to get better? Or at that point, do people really know what you have to do, and it's about just kind of, like you said, sticking to the grind and, like, waiting for your chance?
You can, but it gets to be a business at every level. You go higher and higher. So if you go into your college coach's office, you might get that one conversation halfway through your freshman year, and he says, you're not in shape, you don't understand the system, these guys are more aggressive than you. Then you have to make what he says work,
Yep.
right? And so that way you're playing your sophomore year. In the NBA, I went into Lenny's office as a rookie, and he said, if you don't want me to take you off the court, then I have to be able to know you're going to get every rebound out there when I put you in. You know every single play in this playbook, which was 65 plays long. They drafted me, and then they signed Hakeem Olajuwon, and they re-signed Antonio Davis. These are guys that are my friends now for life. But in the NBA, you play who you pay. Right? So sometimes you need a lucky break in life too. And for me, I had to sit my rookie year almost entirely. The second year, I bounced back. I averaged 5 points, 5 rebounds off the bench with a couple starts, and then carved out a pretty good journeyman career for myself in the NBA.
Yeah, kudos to you for sticking with it. I'm sure a lot of people have, and probably in the future will give up. But it sounds like that. We keep coming back to a similar theme that, giving up, not quitting, sticking with it. If you do that, and you have to have the raw talent too. You can't deny that. But if you're talented, it doesn't get you just as far as everybody else. Everybody at the top level, high school, college, like there's going to be a pyramid, I think, of success where. We can probably get into this in a second, but a lot of it comes down to the mental side of the game. I don't think a lot of young athletes realize that once you get to a team where everybody else is just as good as you, the 5%, 10% difference is going to be what's your mentals versus there. And I know you brought it up before about training the mind. We actually had a mental performance coach on the other day, and she was fantastic, Lindsay Wilson. She mentioned that she always breaks it down for athletes in really 3 phases. You have and she's a basketball background, on-court skills, the physical aspect of the weight room, but she also, this is her, her business, but she emphasizes you have to train your brain too. It's a muscle, one, but if you're not going to succeed in that realm, I think the other 2 will just make you fall short. So What are maybe some of the mental training tips that you've done over the years to stay sharp, and how has that helped you throughout your long career?
Yeah, I had plenty during my playing career, and it's something that I focus on now with the kids that I coach and mentor in my own program. So visualization's key. I always like them to visualize themselves playing well and really have that positive tunnel vision the night before a game, the day of a game, just kind of see yourself making great plays. I owned yoga studios for 15 years, so I believe in finding a different outlet to calm yourself. Like you said, whether it's business, personal, athletic, everybody needs a little bit of calm in their day, so don't let your mind wander and go crazy and get too worked up. So staying calm, seeing yourself, performing positively the night before or the day of was big for me.
Okay.
And if you can really start to train your mind in that matter of fact, that'll help you out greatly.
Curious about yoga. I mean, I've done yoga for the last 5-10 years. I don't think enough athletes know that's a really good outlet. One, for the physical side, but two, for the mental. And it sounds like you definitely know it if you owned yoga studios for 15 years. But do you advise athletes do that kind of as a part of their off-season training? Should athletes get into yoga like during the season to stay sharp? Or is it all year-round thing for the athletes that you train?
No, I think it's an all-year-round thing, and it becomes part of your lifestyle. I mean, when I was coaching a high school varsity team in Cincinnati, it was Summit Country Day. We won the state championship my second year. We had an incredible record. We had players getting Division I scholarships, Division II scholarships, going on to play Division III. And we did it in such a fun, positive environment. It was one of the most fun periods of my professional career. And I'm still close with all these kids now, and they're 32, they're 33, they're calling me, they're getting married, they're having babies, but that relationship is so cool. But I used to take them to my yoga studio every Saturday morning in lieu of practice. We would play a big game Friday night, and I would say, guys, come on, we got to go to 60-minute hot yoga class. And, they whined and griped about it the first week or two. And then before I knew it, I'd get a call every so often, and it would be our front desk staff member, and they'd say, Kevin's down here, or Antonio, or Holden's down here. They want to take another class midweek. And so they got really into it, and they saw the changes in their body, they saw the strength coming, but they were finding like calm and peace. And for the athletes that you guys kind of cater to, between 13 and 18, it can be a stressful time for them. I have three daughters myself. They're 20, 18, and 17 now, and they're in yoga 2-3 times a week by their choice. They love what it brings to their mind, to their body, to their spirit, and it's just a powerful tool that I would suggest everybody give a crack at it.
That's really cool. I know I kind of got into it. My wife, she played Division I soccer at Temple. It was a requirement for them when she was in her training process to do yoga at least one time a week. She took me to her studio. And at first I thought it was a little bit, not funky, but just kind of unnatural for me to do. And then after 2 classes, I was hooked. I've been doing it for the last 5-6 years, and it's really fun. I mean, I think a lot of athletes just don't know it's a good option for them though. So.
Yeah, and most guys think that. I thought it was a female stretching class until I owned studios, right? And then I couldn't get out of there. I loved it so much. But it's so great for athletes because you're going to also strengthen all the tendons around your knees, around your ankle. Like, it's not just about the physical, good-looking muscles that we want to train in the gym. Like, you have to train the mind. You have to train the joints, the ankles, the stability. This will give you an extra couple % boost on somebody. That could be the key separation piece, like you were talking about earlier. How do you separate yourself when everybody's the same talent? Yep. You have to do things outside the box that they're not doing.
Love that. Actually, I've been sitting on that for a while, and I've heard it from some other people, and I'm trying to formalize the right way to say it. But I feel like if you're going to be a great athlete, going to be a great business leader, great parent, anybody, you have to do extraordinary things to be extraordinary. And it's even cheesy to say that, but if you're just doing what your teammates are doing and showing up to practice, shoot around, ice bath, go home, how are you going to expect to get to a level above them? Like, you have to do things outside of the box, which could be yoga, could be the 10,000 hours, like you said, but just finding different ways to improve. I don't think a lot of athletes and especially coaches help them think like that nowadays. It's the typical route: show up, work out, do what you have to do, but everybody else is doing that. So find something else that's unique, that's a little bit different, but can really give you that couple percentage point edge. Because when you get to that level, like you've said, everybody's the same. What's going to get you 2, 3, 4, 5% better? And I think yoga is one of the things, but that's really cool that you had that team do that, and they're still calling you even today. What about going into that, Michael? So for the coaching career that you've had, started in high school, I know you said right now, before we hopped on the show, you have about 14 kids that you train. Maybe to other athletes who think they want to get into coaching, they love mentorship, but they don't know where to start or if it's for them, what would your message be to former athletes who want to get into coaching and why it's been so great for you?
Yeah, again, it has to be a passion. I just had this conversation with a recently retired NBA player. We're sitting at dinner in Greece, and he was saying, man, I really want to help kids. And I said, well, you have the you have it in you to do it. Like I can just tell by how fired up you are, but it has to be a passion. For me, I could be doing anything that I want. Like I've had a great career and I've been super blessed and I have a lot of free time and I choose to do this because I'm so inspired and passionate about helping the next generation of athletes get that information that I had. I had amazing coaches when I was younger. I mean, starting from my dad, Leo Papil, my AAU coach at BABC, one of the goats of the AAU game. Steve Lapis at Villanova, the Kentucky coaching staff when I was there. I mean, I've had a lot of good coaches impact me, and some of the things they say, then going to Lenny Wilkins in the NBA and others, some of the things they say, I'm still using to this day because they don't fade, like they were giving me knowledge that lasts a lifetime. And so I want to pass this on. And to your point of, working your mind with the kids, we watch a lot of film together. I make them edits of themselves, of other players. We're learning the game because a lot of them want to play at the NCAA level. So I want to have them ready for practice number 1 at 18, terminology, what they're going to see. So we really do a full deep dive in. If you really want to reach your full potential or potential, I tell them, I'm here for you and I'll help you get there as best I can. I mean, if you had someone that could give you the answers to the test, you should listen up. I tell them you should listen up.
That's really smart. What about maybe on the flip side of things, Michael, for the parents listening to this? I know we've talked a lot about the athletes, the coaching side. What have you seen from parents nowadays that's maybe different than when even I was growing up or when you were growing up? Like, what should parents be focusing on with their kids to help them succeed? Is it something like just out of the box ideas, but like social media is rampant nowadays, controlling that, or helping athletes, like in the weight room in particular, or like what should parents be doing to help their kids in 2025 succeed on the court and reach the next level?
I mean, just the support, right? First of all, that's key. But, like I'm not a big social media guy. I'm a hard worker and like there's no replacement for that. You've got to get your son, your daughter has to be passionate and love the sport. Then you can support it however that may look and feel with skill development, weight training, personal coaches on the side. But if you don't love the game, you're not going to put the work in yourself. Like some of these people that have 3, 4, 5 trainers and coaches, like I don't see a need for that, right? Like I just didn't do that.
Yeah.
And like blue collar work ethic is going to be the way all the time. When you get to the college and NBA, you'll have rebounders, you'll have trainers, you'll have all this stuff, but you have to love the game. And as long as you support your children, like there's the skill part, there's the weightlifting, there's the physical piece, there's the nutrition piece. Mom and dad are going to supply everything until you're 18, 22, 35.
Probably 35.
Who knows, right? Yeah. But I don't know. I'm an old school accountability, responsibility coach, and the player has to take that on themselves. Like mom and dad can only do so much. I have 3 daughters myself. They love surfing. I went out with them surfing for a couple of years until I could do no more and they surpassed me. Then I hired their own sport-specific coach to elevate their game, their skill, their physique, their mental knowledge of surfing, and they went like this. 2 of my daughters are competing in international contests every year, the Mexi Log Fest. Like they're incredible longboarders. They love the sport. It's such a healthy lifestyle because they were inspired and impacted and motivated by this coach. And he actually gave me the idea to do what I've been doing for the last couple of years, which again is just trying to inspire and impact the next generation of young basketball players who want to, have fun with it maybe, or make it their dream to play NCAA or NBA or European basketball. Like that's what I'm here to do in a fun, positive environment and support them in any way I can. So that's my message to the parents. Like do what you can. If you're able to find help, like myself or that you have on your platform, a mentor and a coach is a great decision for your child.
It's funny, man. We've seen that. We've talked to so many people about that similar trajectory, and it always seems like there's one point in a very successful athlete's life, and it sounds like you had a lot of people, but there's some coach, some mentor, probably outside of their parents, that has a profound impact on them. I always bring up the examples from a recent chat we had with Kathleen Baker, decorated Olympic swimmer, won gold, I think in Rio and silver in Japan, but she said when she was 13, a very good swimmer, probably best in her area, but not like national level. Met an Olympic swimming coach through a new club that she joined, and within 2 years from working with him a couple times a week, she was swimming with 25-year-old pros as a 15-year-old and beating them. But like if you can find that person, not every coach is Olympic swimming background, but just find a good mentor, find somebody who understands where you want to go, and they've probably been there. I mean, that can really elevate a kid's not just sports trajectory, but life trajectory. teach them to be a better person, hard work, responsibility. And I just think at that pivotal point, late elementary, early middle school, a lot of young athletes would benefit by having that kind of person in their life. And it sticks. I mean, like you said, your athletes from, Cincinnati that you coach maybe sounds like 15 years ago, they're still calling you nowadays. So people will remember that when you're a young athlete.
Gene, everybody needs it. Imagine us in our adult life going into our business world and somebody listens to you, takes you under your wing, shows you the ropes, shows you how to get through all the shortcuts, and gives you the answers. Like, we all need it. A 15, 16-year-old talented athlete is the same way. Maybe they're struggling with one or two pieces. Maybe it's confidence. Maybe it's strategic. It's technical. And we can work that out in 3, 6, 9 months, and they're on their way. And now you've opened up a whole new future for them just by being that guiding light and that mentor that they needed. So I can only stress that so much. Like, trying to invest into a mentor or a coach for your child that's not their coach, and it's definitely not their parent, is for sure tool to use if parents can do that.
That's really, really cool. Maybe one of the last questions for you, Michael. If you could, I know we probably touched on some of these things, but if you could go back to young Michael, like 5, 6, just picking up that basketball for the first time, what's maybe one of the best life lessons or best things you've learned along the way that you wish you knew then that you could tell young athletes, hey, if you're starting out today, just this one tip that I, in my 30 years of playing and coaching that I've learned, I wish you could know that.
Well, I didn't score at 5 or 6, so you sure you want me to answer that? I don't know, man. That's a great question. Wow, I've never been asked that one. I would just say follow your heart, follow your passion. Like, I'm just imagining myself right now wearing that orange YMCA jersey. The journey that game has taken me on, and the lifelong friends that I've met, and wow, here I am just thinking about it. Like, just go for it. Whatever your dream is, whatever your passion is, just go for it in life. You can make it happen. Believe in yourself, and don't let anybody's words or criticism cut you down or make you feel any less. Like, you're more than capable. Follow your dreams, follow your heart, and you're going to do great.
That's really cool. I think the one thing we've heard from that NPC coach in particular, but other people along the way, you might not always get, if you're a young athlete, to the point where you want. Like, not everybody gets to play college basketball or play pro. But I think if you chase it, you don't give up, you will really love the person you become along the way. And that stuck with me, because not everybody can become, a 10-year NBA player. But it's like, if you just try your best, don't give up, don't listen to outside noise that tells you to stop, you might reach the high school level or the college level, and that's farther than you would have gotten if you were a middle schooler and said, like, it's not for me, I'm going to quit. So no matter what, it's the journey along the way, you're going to become a better person, I truly think. So
100% agree. Well said.
And what about, maybe the last thing, Michael, I know you're in Europe right now, traveling around, got an awesome job, and a lot on your plate with family and coaching, but for anybody listening who wants to get involved with you, kind of hear your story, follow you, I know you said you're not a huge social media guy, but is there a place where parents can learn more about what you're doing and kind of keep up?
Yeah, 100%. They can follow me on Instagram. It's coach_Michael Bradley. And I run my own mentoring, coaching platform, and really go one-on-one with kids and include the parents as they would like. But I have a blast with it. We do it in a really positive, fun environment, and see great results in short periods of time. But anyway, I wish all your listeners the best. And I think what you guys are doing is really cool, really needed, really impressive. So keep up the great work, and it's been a pleasure being on with you.
Appreciate it, Michael. I know I talked before show. I have 2 boys, one that's 2, one that's 9 months. So maybe in 11 years, I'll reach out to you back on Instagram and see if you can take them on as clients.
Yeah, hit me up. I'll give you a good deal. Hit me up.
Appreciate it, Michael. Thanks for the time today, man.
All right, Gene. See ya.
Bye.